Our third movie night extravaganza Oscar month episode, it's finally time to talk about John M. Chu's Crazy Rich Munchkins. No, that's not right. Wicked Part 1. Wicked, of course, is a film adaptation of a Broadway musical adapted from a Gregory Maguire novel, which is a retelling of parts of L. Frank Baum's Wizard of Oz.
Fine. Let's get this over with. No, I am not seasick. No, I did not eat grass as a child. And yes, I've always been green.
It's not easy being green.
The Broadway musical came out in 2003 and is honestly pretty subversive for the fact that it came out during the George W. Bush administration and tells the true story of the Wicked Witch of the West, Elphaba, from her perspective, assuming that we've been sold a big lie and that perhaps the image of her as simply the Wicked Witch is Ozian propaganda. One person's Wicked Witch is another person's freedom fighter and all that. Could the Wicked Witch of the West, a perpetual outsider scorned by everyone she meets, just be Oz's easiest scapegoat?
That's why you need all of this. And you need spies and animals in cages and an enemy. You have no real power.
Exactly. That's why I need you.
Unlike many stories where we're left feeling like there's an inherent good and inherent evil to these characters, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz actually lends itself to this retelling really well. Since in the original book, Oz himself is a con man who has used carnival tricks and a bit of terror to trick everyone in Oz into believing he's a powerful wizard. Wicked only really pushes it a bit further, making Oz an outright fascist. And who knows, in 1900, when skepticism about this new American system at home reigned supreme, and L. Frank Baum was quick to jump on metaphors about the Wizard of Oz being a fable about the gold standard and the power of populism, it was still a few decades from the global rise of fascism and a different type of tyrant, the Mussolini and Hitler variety, permanently lodging in the mind of Americans for generations. Play starred Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel as Glinda the Good Witch and Elphaba the Wicked Witch. The film adaptation stars Ariana Grande, doing a pretty pitch-perfect Kristen Chenoweth impression, I would say, and Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba, bringing her own incredible charisma to the role. Both Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel make a cameo in Oz as performers in a play within the movie. It also stars Michelle Yeoh, who previously starred in John M. Chu's Crazy Rich Asians, Jeff Goldblum as the Wizard of Oz, Ethan Slater, Jonathan Bailey, Marissa Bode as Elphaba's sister, Nessa Rose, Bowen Yang, and Peter Dinklage as the Goat Professor, Dr. Dillamond. From the beginning, despite having an extremely diverse cast, Elphaba is shunned for being green.
But green's the color of spring. And green can be cool and friendly like.
A byproduct of her mother's illicit affair. Even though her father is governor of Munchkinland, he blames her for her sister's inability to walk and the bad luck that's plagued the family. However, she possesses magic powers, which draws Madame Marble, Michelle Yeoh's character, to enroll her at Shiz University.
No! understand. Stop! Let her go.
Where she's put into a room with Glinda, who desperately wants to be a witch and is as popular as she is unpopular and scorned. Elphaba's life is full of temporary acceptance and then deep distrust and hatred.
We just want to tell you we're all on your side.
But Oz seems to be full of distrust and hatred as the citizens of Oz are turning on the animals who lived in their midst. The deeply heartbreaking message Oz gives to Elphaba in the Emerald City, the best way to bring folks together is to give them a really good enemy, hit so hard in this era of Trump 2.0. As do moments that actually manage to express the ways that performative liberalism does nothing to stop fascism, including a moment where Glinda tries to impress a boy by, quote, taking a stand by shortening her name to Glinda in solidarity with the oppressed animals. It's the black square to stop racism, and Ariana Grande plays the moment perfectly. Wicked Part 1 cost $150 million, but brought back $726 million, the most of any Broadway adaptation thus far, and is up for 10 Oscars. Best Picture, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, Best Original Score, Best Costume Design, Best Visual Effects, Best Hair and Makeup, Best Film Editing, and Best Sound.
Think of your future, dearie.
Stay back.
Elfie, listen to them. Please.
Before I introduce the panel, please like this video and subscribe to the Movie Night Extravaganza YouTube channel. Then hit that bell to get notified whenever we're streaming. Super chats are now open. If you have any pressing questions, send us a super chat, which helps me maintain the expenses for the show, which I am obligated by the rules of the Geneva Convention to stop everything and ask the panel. Another way to help us out is to become a patron and give us money every month. In exchange, you get access to all of our after parties, bonus content, and we'll tell you even more movies we watched recently. Patreon.com/Movie Night Extra. We have a Movie Night Extravaganza Discord. There's an invite link in the episode description, and we have a Letterboxd HQ account. So those are 2 more places to follow along with us. Okay, let me introduce the illustrious panel. Conan Neutron is the host of Protonic Reversal, co-host of Movie Night Extravaganza, and the frontman for the band Conan Neutron and the Secret Friends. You can check out his music and hopefully buy some at neutronfriends.bandcamp.com. Kristina Oakes is a co-host of Movie Night Extravaganza and a Twitch streamer. You can find her streaming at twitch.tv/Cosmopolitics. All of her social media accounts are also at Cosmopolitics. She's on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky, and even occasionally on Letterboxd. Julia Linger is an actress, comedian, and content creator who's on social media as well as YouTube and Twitch at Anxious Sprout, is one of the reactors on the React channel, as well as being featured on Jubilee. I, of course, am your host, Forrest Miller, who would never believe some guy from Nebraska is a wizard. I did not know defying gravity was an option, not gonna lie. I've just been obeying gravity.
That's the new resist. Is
There you go.
Gravity. We're resisting gravity.
Incredible.
Now. Not Trump. No, there's gravity this time.
Gravity is fascist. You know?
That was so magical. That was such a magical intro.
Yeah, I tried. It's harder when it's like something that's still kind of in theaters, because I mean it dropped like a couple days after I did the intro on video or whatever, because they only put like a few clips of any given movie now. They're like we've
seen that preview. We don't want to see that.
Yeah.
Julia, welcome on the show. It's great to have you.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me. I'm so psyched. My inner theater kid is amped. So
Yeah.
I feel like we got a good little pregame by watching it yesterday in the
that was
Discord.
nice.
Yeah, that was cool.
It was a
And then just
full
hitting
house.
at the entire time. Yeah.
Long movie.
It
And
is
it's only
a
the
long
first
movie.
part. That's the
I
one
know.
thing. I mean, every movie's super long these days, so like it ain't nothing new under the sun, but it is a long movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be real. Like yesterday when you were streaming it, I was able to do an entire Pilates session, like absolutely just clean my room, just like do some work, the whole thing, and still have time to sit back and relax and watch it. So
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a solid 2 hours and 40 minutes. I mean, I think they did a good thing by breaking it up into
Is
two
it
parts.
longer than Dune? I
I
don't know.
I think Dune was.
I'm gonna look.
Wait.
I mean, we're also just talking part one. Because
Yeah, well, I'm saying because I'm thinking of Dune because then we have
Right,
Dune Prophet,
Dune 2
aka
was,
Dune.
Dune 2 was 2 hours and 46 minutes. Wicked
47 minutes.
yeah, so it's 1 minute longer than
1
Dune.
minute longer.
Yeah.
And that minute's definitely during Defying Gravity, because that song takes a long time to get to the point.
The minute is actually just the cape getting larger. That's actually
Exactly. It's just the cape scene. Yeah.
She's like, look, this is a little bit awkward. I have to wait for the cape to get like long enough to touch the ground before I could take off.
You have to build up. It's like the runway. Like she needs it to grow really big to then fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say any movie that's 2 hours and 47 minutes to be like, yeah, whatever, keep doing it, because I feel like Hollywood just takes that and they're like, we should make more movies this long. But like, I do feel like it goes by faster than you think it's going to.
It does, and the trick that it pulls, which is a good trick, is that, and actually, strangely, just like Dune, like you get to the end, you're like, what? Wait, what? No, like this can't be the end. Like people in my theater were like, bum. They were like, what? It's like,
no, thank goodness. What's happening here?
Most people are not on movie shows, I guess, because I was very aware of it. But but it does do a thing where it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's boulders going down the hill. Like we're in it now.
Yeah.
And then like, and scene.
Yeah.
Which Dune Part 1 totally did as well.
I do feel like going back to the musical theater thing, like I did Into the Woods Junior in like middle school, and I thought that was the entirety of Into the Woods, but they actually just do Part 1, like literally Act 1. So I was like, oh my God, that's it.
Oh,
that's the whole show. And then like I later learned there's an entire second act. So I just imagine all the people that are like, wow, Wicked's like really sad. And that's it. Okay. Well, and then next year they're going to be like, no way. A bonus.
It's going to be even sadder.
That just reminds me of there's a Meow Wolf. I don't know if y'all are familiar with George R. Martin has funded these amazing art spaces. One of them is in Vegas. Pre-tour, we went. Me and one of my bandmates went to one of them, and it's a store that like sells like really screwed up, like crazy, like what the hell, like items that you can buy, by the way. But there's secret passageways that lead you to the rest of the exhibit and the rest of the thing. And I ended up talking to somebody who works there. It's like, yeah, it's a guy that came in yesterday and with his family, and they just thought it was just a store. They bought a couple things and left. And it was like, this is like the size of like 3 football fields, like full of like just like stuff and exhibits, but they just didn't know. Nobody told them.
It's like a Midwestern family that was like too nice to leave. They're like, oh, I'll just buy something, and they like go into these like articles.
Yeah,
I'll just look at these nice things that they have in Vegas, and then they just like leave. That's
like eggs are really expensive in Vegas. Damn.
Well, and I guess that's sort of I guess that's potentially one of the outcomes if you do something like that, right? If you're not going to start off being like, hey, idiots, by the way, this is part 1 of a 2-part story.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I do wonder. So the thing with like Broadway musicals, right? Like a lot of times they put them onto platforms, and it's a lot of the people that watch it are just like Broadway fans, right? Like I wonder how big they thought the audience would be, because there's a lot of people that are like big fans of Broadway shows that most definitely would be like, oh, this is half of Wicked. But when I went to even like my local theater, right, like there were definitely people in there that have never gone and seen like a Broadway show. Like it seemed like that were like pleasantly surprised by the things happening on screen. And I wonder if they were surprised by how much like the size of the audience for this. I mean, I wouldn't have been if I were them, but like with that cast, and everything, like
you're just built different though.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, like it's Wicked's been on Broadway for could be 22 years now. It was not the most loved musical at first. Like it did not get good reviews, but Rudy Giuliani killed all the homeless people, and people were no longer afraid to go to Times Square and see a Broadway show. So that's why Phantom lasted for as long as it did. Wicked lasted for as long as it did. And
it was homeless people writing the bad reviews.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a lot. But again, with Wicked, a lot of people are familiar with the Wizard of Oz. See, I feel like millennials have more of a strong connection to the Wizard of Oz than other generations, because our parents, who were like boomers, gave us the VHS tapes. We watched the Wizard of Oz over and over again. So
and you could still see broadcast TV, which played it constantly too.
Constantly. Exactly. So I think a lot of people gravitate towards Wicked because they're like, oh, it's another like Wizard of Oz story. Like that's, we might see hints of the Wizard of Oz story within Wicked, which you see in Act 2, Part 2 coming up, And so when you see the stage show, you're amazed at like all the effects that they're able to do and how they're able to do things and whatnot. So it's like when you see that translated on the screen, again, I think a lot of people were probably shocked when they actually do see the stage production that they're like, wow, this actually comes out really well, and how they apply it to film is even, larger.
Yeah, well, they famously have the Oz head, right? And in this, they do. I mean, I guess it's a little bit underwhelming after seeing the Oz head in so many different places, but they do have the cool Oz head, and then on stage when they do it, they have the same. Like that was one of the. It's the same thing with like the Sweeney Todd chair, where it's like people kind of jerry rig their own, but there's also like ones that go around when they're going to perform it in different places.
Yeah.
Right, man.
I also feel like people love like a little like prequel anything. Like with Wicked, it was the first time it was like, that's the lion, that's how he got there, and it's like this like whole like whoa. And like I grew up outside of New York, so like we did like a Girl Scout trip going to see Wicked, and it was like the cool thing. Like every musical theater girly was just like Wicked poster in my bedroom, and so it was like the show, and it was just cool because it was just like Idina Menzel, and then yeah.
Well, the books were a pretty big deal in the 90s, but like then it sort of, and they were actually early on with that whole, hey, someone you thought was a villain, maybe what
might
if they
not
weren't?
be.
Yeah. And it was actually ahead of that, Sopranos, Breaking Bad, so on and so on. Cruella is another good example. Yeah. And but then that kind of faded for a little bit. Like they were like kind of something where if you were really into the Wizard of Oz or into like that special kind of like fantastical YA fiction, then maybe you're aware of it. But it took the musical, which I remember hearing when they were like, they're making a musical of Wicked. What? Like I was like super confused. I was like, have they read that book?
Yeah.
It's gonna be one hell of a musical. No kids allowed. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, and they toned down some of that stuff, right? Like
yes, they did.
Like toned it so down it wasn't even included. That's how toned down it was.
No oiling of breasts anywhere to be found.
There was no breast heaving boobly. I feel like millennials are also like the YA generation, right? Like not that a lot of us read like a lot of that, but like I feel like that is like young adult kind of stuff is what a lot of us grew up reading, and I feel like this fits perfectly into that categorization too. I mean, not in the shitty way that's used derogatorily, but like the Wicked
but you're right, because it got ahead of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and stuff, and like that kind of thing a little bit. Like I think that's accurate.
And people loved a good like reimagining. And they still do, but like I think that really hit hard in like the early 2000s. People are like, whoa, we could reimagine all this stuff. Like,
well, the only real thing other than the Wizard of Oz, the movie, the MGM movie, was Return to Oz, which is just I love it, but very befuddling and not a mainstream hit at all.
Well,
you know what to say.
Well, they also had they had the Wiz too. Like there was a lot.
The
of
Wiz, of course, yeah. I always forget.
Yeah, the Wiz. I mean, Joel Schumacher wrote the screenplay for that. And you can tell.
Yeah.
All she had to do was flush the toilet. You just had to flush the toilet, and the witch goes down the toilet.
DEI Wizard of Oz.
But it's. Yeah. Oh, it does. Go ahead, Julia.
Oh, I was gonna say the people that hated Wicked in the early 2000s were like every casting director in musical theater, because like Defying Gravity was like the audition song.
Oh, really?
And then if you were like really, really good and like you knew it, it was like Wizard and I. But like Defying Gravity was like, if you did that, it was just like, what karaoke soundtrack did you like? You don't know your 32 bar cut of that. Like it just it got like fiercely competitive back.
Yeah, I feel like that even spilled over into pop culture, because I have like a weird like remembrance of like some joke somewhere of someone doing Defying Gravity as like their audition song. And I feel like it annoyed people in musical theater enough that they actually like included it as a joke somewhere else. I can't remember where.
Well, I know Winston and New Girl did did the whole Wicked album soundtrack, like Driving to Mexico.
I think that's probably where I got it from.
Yeah. And also too, I mean, Idina Menzel doing Let It Go from Frozen, which is basically Defying Gravity for Disney. I mean, like she's known for doing those songs about women breaking free from, being considered evil and whatever. Yeah. So it's like that's going to follow her for the rest of her life.
I would rather
woman broke free.
I'd rather have Defying Gravity than let it go follow me for the rest of my life. I'm not gonna.
Well, everyone always forgets Idina Menzel played like this side character in Enchanted that was like corporate evil, but then like actually had a soul, which was like so like, oh my god,
here comes a Disney queen.
Yeah, it was so big, and I was like, oh my god, she's usually a stage actress. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was weird seeing her career. Even Kristin Chenoweth, because when she was like on Glee, I was like, oh my god, it's Kristin Chenoweth from Wicked and You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. So it was weird seeing like there was this weird thing happening like in the 2000s where into the 2010s where a lot of Broadway stars were becoming more mainstream to be in TV and film.
I have two different reference points for that where I had that same exact thing, knowing because I knew that they were both in Wicked. Kristin Chenoweth and Pushing Up Daisies.
Yeah, that's where I first. First of all, love that show. Secondly, that's
me too.
I was like, I don't know who this chick is, but she's great, and I had no idea like anything about her. But again, I'm not, not my scene. Right? I was out doing my own musicals every night in clubs, so I was like, all right.
I knew she was from Wicked because we had to dance. I had to dance in a dance class to Popular, and I hated it. But
Pushing Daisies was a really underrated show, though. Still continues to be underrated.
And then Idina Menzel in Uncut Gems, where she's Adam Sandler's ex-wife that he tries to get back.
Oh, that is her.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Uncut Gems. Sorry.
Jams.
But I mean,
you could do it. You could do it the best because you're also Julia. Like
I know. I was like, oh my god.
Isn't she in a new movie? Is she in that Soderbergh ghost movie or something? Is that true?
I think she's
top fact checkers on it.
She's been in, she was doing some promotion for something. I don't know.
All I know is this past summer, big summer for the Julias. Charlie XCX really brought us into the limelight. Huge summer.
I saw her on some show where she was talking
summer.
about Charlie XCX, and she was like, she was saying that like when she found out that she was gonna like her name was gonna be in the song, she's like, I hope it's a good song, like. It's not.
That's always the hope, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I like that they included the two of them, Idina Menzel and Kristin Chenoweth.
Yeah. I was crying. I was like, oh my god.
I think every like theater person like came in that moment. Like I heard like gasps and moans the minute they appeared. It was crazy.
Yeah. And they still look good. Well, you know what's so funny is Kristin Chenoweth is short, Cynthia Erivo short, and Ariana Grande is short, and Idina is like 5'4". So everyone's like, "Oh, she's." I'm like, "Yeah, she's still short though. She's my height." So when you see them all photographed together, it's like here they are and here she is.
Yeah.
Is there something about like Broadway actresses and height? Like I feel like tall like women would do well in Broadway shows. I don't know. I feel like that's a thing with like TV actresses though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So of course this was Ariana Grande's favorite musical since she was little. She's even met Jeff Goldblum in the past. Like she met Kristin Chenoweth backstage because her mother has connections. And I think she told, she's like, I'm gonna do Wicked one day, and that was her dream role. She always did like Alphaba songs.
Were you her pen pal?
Yeah. When she was in 13 on Broadway, I was like, we're going to be Alphaba and Glinda. And that never happened.
Well, it happened for one of you.
Yeah.
50% ratio. If it was baseball, you'd be killing it.
You were actually, you had the first offer, just the email didn't send. So they had to.
It was send the up box. Yeah, there was internet problems that day.
Like, tell that girl from the longest time ago. Chris, I don't know. Maybe.
Here she is. I don't know. But Ariana Grande has a very poppy voice, but she's also a good impressionist when it comes. She's really good at sounding like a lot of other people. Like that's like her biggest talent, which respect. I could do that with contralto singers as well. So when a lot of people,
they should have hit up your email.
Yeah, no, we did. They did. It just is
they're in the other request section of your DMs, unfortunately.
Yeah,
you're looking potential spam, like your spam folder, and it's like, fuck, why is this?
Damn. Maybe for
AOL email account. But a lot of people, when it got leaked, Ariana's no one's let us be glad. A lot of people were like, that's Kristin Chenoweth's voice. I'm like, no, it's not. I'm like, Ariana Grande trained herself to have that lyric soprano voice like Kristin Chenoweth's. I guarantee, because it's not like she can't hit high notes. She's got the whistle Mariah Carey whistle tone. So just retraining her voice to sound more operatic.
It's like such a good Kristin Chenoweth impression too. Like it's kind of impressive. Like you really would think it's her.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is like she took the character that everyone knows it to be, and everyone has their variations of it, but she made it in a way that was still her own, but still followed true to like the original source material. But like Cynthia also did that too. Like it was kind of like a very unique perspective, but like it worked. Although I do have beef with like when she was hitting the high note, she was like, like she like I hated it. I was just like, why are you making that little face? I get it's for like vocal placement, but she was like, just like
well, Stephen Schwartz suggested like I'll make popular like a hip hop poppy type of song. She's like, no, I don't want people thinking Ariana Grande is singing. I want people to think Glinda is singing the song.
I'm dead. Stephen Schwartz was like, hello, fellow youths. He was
I'm like, thank God. I'm like, we dodged the bullet right there.
He's so popular.
You're popular. You gotta be popular. Like, come on.
She did throw a little bit in there at one point, and everyone was like,
at For Shizzle University, you know.
Exactly. Yes. Canonically established.
Yeah, I did appreciate that they did have mostly Broadway actors or like experienced adjacent. Yeah. I mean, I could spend hours talking about Ethan Slater, but that was a crazy pick. But I hate to say it, it was the right pick.
He's 5'7". Like, if you're below 5'8", you played Bach in Wicked, like in tour on Broadway or whatever. Like you cannot be above you got to be between like 5'6" and 5'8" to play Bach.
Yeah,
and I'm still kind of mad they gave him a last name because it's like obviously who he ends up being. I'm like, he cries a lot. He moves like this. Like,
I thought he said I'm Bach Woodsman, but he becomes like, spoiler, the Tin Man, not the
Scarecrow. Yeah, because it's the Tin Woodsman. Yeah,
Tin Woodsman is what it was originally
called. I've never seen it. I've never seen Wicked. I don't know. I've never seen anything ever.
You heard of it? Yeah.
I think he went into real method acting by leaving his wife for Ariana Grande though. So they had,
which is kind of foreshadowing for part 2, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Hey everybody.
Yeah.
I think they did good with him, and I think they did good picking Jonathan Bailey. I think those are good picks of people that are like stage actors.
Yeah, he used his horse for Bridgerton too, so he's familiar with the horse.
That is crazy. When someone's like, they painted the horse, I was like, oh, they did? I was not looking at the horse. I was not
like there's a horse in that scene? Where?
A horse with a different color.
Yep. Although what's interesting, and like this is a subtle flex, I'm kidding. I used to intern at the office that cast Wicked the film, and so Telsey pretty much casts most of Broadway and a lot of like movie musical things, and like I think I'm actually really glad that they ended up going with Telsey. Not like they would have gone another option, but like it was almost like they've been doing this on Broadway for so long that they like knew their audience and both like film, TV. I thought it was like, I think if they didn't go with Telsey, I'd be like, you guys are idiots. So it was a good choice.
I think a lot of times when they do when they try to adapt things from like a Broadway musical into a movie, they go like hardcore with Hollywood. Like they don't a lot of times cast as many like state. I mean, at least like
or people who can sing like Gerard Butler in Phantom of the Opera, or Russell Crowe in Les Mis.
I can't even. I'm like combusting right now that you said that. That like triggers me into oblivion. But I feel like the other thing is, it's just with movie musicals, Mean Girls, is they like try to make it where like non-musical people will like it, and then try to trick people. But I feel like Wicked was so true that it almost felt like the alt kids that are like, okay, if you don't like musicals, whatever, don't come see it. And then people are like, well, I guess I'll see it now. Versus like everything else is like pretending.
Yeah, because a lot of those movie musicals were not being marketed as movie musicals.
Yeah, and secret musicals are a thing. It's just that like blame whoever's the executive in charge of that campaign. But it's absolutely a thing, and like I'm like, that's not a thing. It's like, no, it really is. Have you seen this marketing material? Like it's come on, like but that's. Like, how could you trick someone into like seeing a genre of film? That's like that usually doesn't work. I say that now, and I guess they did with The Substance. I guess they snuck in some body horror.
It's a great comedy, Conan. What are you talking about?
Well, I was thinking of that. Was it Baldoni and what's her face?
Blake Lively.
Blake Lively. Yeah. And it was like, oh, this was like.
It's a comedy about a booth.
Comedy about okay. No, it's not.
Getting some praise in the chat for Jeff Goldblum as a wizard. Perfect role and being a big name to draw a movie audience.
He's great. He's I think the only Only other white guy actor I mentioned the Watch Party, Nick Cage as the Wizard would have been good too. But like I love Goldblum. He's a
It's
great
kind of
wizard.
refreshing when they like cast a non-problematic, whimsical white guy. You know that like in those roles, they're like, oh okay.
Thank God.
Because a lot of times it is like
They
the
do
most
exist.
problematic whimsical.
And people are shocked that
Mel
Jeff
Gibson as
Goldblum
the
has
Wizard.
a-
Yeah.
Oh God. People are shocked that Jeff Goldblum has a jazz background
You know
too.
who the enemy is? No, Mel, no.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
You know, I didn't know he had a jazz background, but he's one of those people that I just kind of look at and I'm like, I can see it.
Yeah,
I
it makes
can
sense.
see it.
You're like, oh yeah, totally. Of course he does.
Thank you.
Zaddy.
I
Also,
feel
Michelle.
like-
Yeah.
I feel like I did because I feel like there was something he did on Colbert or one of those shows where he came out and did like.
Yeah. He
I'm
performed
still
at the
laughing as Mel
Baptist.
Gibson doing the Wizard, by the way. But anyway, yeah. That's,
He performed at the Baptist. He did the the in memoriam playing the piano.
yeah.
Jeff
Yeah.
Goldblum.
He's also one of those. He's one of those guys that has the instantaneous recall memory. What is that called? There's a term. For that, but,
Photographic or like I don't know.
No, it's not quite photographic memory.
No.
Actually, the woman from Taxi. I don't know why I know this information.
Oh
but the woman
wait,
from
the memory
Taxi
like
has it
you
as
could
well.
you could remember like specific
can-
times and days.
It's as if it just happened. Yes,
I have that. I have
Jeff
that.
Goldblum. Eidetic memory. Yeah, Stevie.
I get it. Yeah, I got eidetic memory too.
Comments coming
Wow.
through. Yeah. So Jeff Goldblum has either eidetic memory or something very close to it, and it's very interesting because that show he has on National Geographic, which runs around and does stuff, it makes it very entertaining.
Him and
doing
Stanley Tucci like came from the same world. Like Stanley Tucci
absolutely.
is just like a side questing all the time. And you're like,
Who's in Conclave Friday? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, and Michelle Yeoh, this is like her first big movie after Everything Everywhere All at Once, and a lot of people were like,
true.
even she did not think she could sing. I'm like, Michelle, there's this guy called Rex Harrison, and a lot of people who have a struggle singing come from the school of talk singing, Rex Harrison style.
And
You got that.
I feel like after Rex Harrison, nobody should do that because he was cast in every musical and he's like talks his way through the musical.
Yes,
it's like
How
Meryl
do you do it on
Streep.
Broadway and in movies.
I remember watching My Fair Lady as a kid and being like, he's just talking. Like,
Yeah.
why-
I've grown accustomed to her face.
But
Yeah.
I think Michelle Yeoh was a good choice for this. John M. Chu, who directed it though, is the guy that did Crazy Rich Asians, which is one of the movies before Everything Everywhere All at Once that Michelle Yeoh is really like. I mean, obviously she's had a long career, but like that was one of the big movies.
One
that
of her
she
big
was-
recent, and bringing her to like a new audience and a new group of people as well. That again, because I mean, like not everyone knows the heroic trio and like all the stuff like Pre-Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and stuff like that, right? So, Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was saying my only qualm is every time she says dearie in the film, it's like anything that Ethan Slater sings in the film. It just there's something about it where she's like dearie, and you're like, oh, it just like doesn't hit right.
It's like oh, she does seem like she's evil because she's gonna get more singing in part 2.
Well, she can play evil. I mean,
Yeah.
her character in Star Trek Discovery was pretty fantastic. Like really good, and she was totally like a heavy. Apparently that Section 32 movie is horrendous, and don't watch it. But like, yeah, that character was like a very very good baddie. So
Yeah,
I know she's got it in her.
Yeah, and like the thing like with going back like talk about like Elphaba's childhood, like her mother died when she gave birth to her younger sister Nessa. And so she really didn't have a mother figure besides Dulcibert, which is actually a character from the novel. Like they added some characters from the original novel to expand on the Wicked lore. And so Madame Morrible is like this.
They added some characters from the movie that the book is a fanfic of. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, exactly. And so Madame Morrible is like becomes like this mother figure to Elphaba, someone that Elphaba can depend on as a maternal figure, and that the betrayal is just like it goes like, oh, they're happy the wizard's here, but then as soon as Madame Morrible comes in, it's like the music just shifts, like the tone just completely shifts, and you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, I would say that I wish that they had built that relationship up a little bit more than they did. Because the betrayal, like you definitely feel the betrayal, but at the same time, it's like, all right, we've seen her in class like twice, and Like it's not like I
All
don't
the
know.
deleted scenes were so good. Why did they have, I'm like, I get it. Make it a perfect 3 hours then. Like we got to see Glinda stand up to Elphaba's father.
I mean, we're already
say, like,
there, you know.
Yeah, like seriously, like what's another 15 minutes? But like there's a deleted scene where you know her Elphaba's dad's like not impressed. She's gonna meet the wizard because she thinks, you know, he hates her, and Glinda's like, oh, she's you know, she's gonna very much impress him. I know it. And she just like, you know, does like that look at her dad like, you piece of shit, because her father is a piece of shit.
Just do the Kathy Bates style, like or like the mom and Carrie, where she's like they're all gonna laugh at you.
Yeah,
they're gonna laugh at you.
Yeah. But I think it's funny that a lot of people were like, how dare you spoil that Jeff Goldblum, the wizard, is her dad? And I'm like,
are you aware who Jeff Goldblum is? It's so clearly him immediately.
Sounds like,
It sounds like him. It looks like, yeah, it's Jeff Goldblum, right?
He comes into the room, he's like,
In the original Broadway musical, you know it's Joel Gray's voice because he was a wizard in the original Broadway production of Wicked. It's his voice.
I'm also like, have any of you heard of like IMDb or IMDb? pro.imdb.com. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you could look it up, my pals. Deadline, perhaps. I'm like, we're not ruining it.
I did a viral TikTok about, you know, his, you know, him being, and everyone's like, the musical's been out for over 20 years, plus the freaking novel, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, thank you, people, thank you for defending me, because it's ridiculous that people are like, don't spoil the movie.
The original wizard is Joel Grey, who's actually
Jennifer Grey's
dad. Yeah,
he was also in Buffy.
But Joel Grey, he also has a very distinct voice. Like he has a very kind of, I don't know, I don't even know how to
voice. Yeah,
almost like Froggy a little bit, but like he has that kind of voice. So you can hear him like even in the original soundtrack. So because I've listened to it since watching this, like, you know, prep work or whatever, I guess.
Oh no, you loving the sound. You're loving it.
But you can hear it's Joel Grey at the same time, you know, in that same number. Right. So it's like that is a well established part of that.
Yeah. So I can't wait for that.
There's a lot to talk about. There's the musical, there's the books, there's all this. But as an adaptation, as a movie, it's been kind of interesting that I think the movie is successful, but I think it's almost in spite of John Chu's direction. Like, I don't feel like he did a really amazing job or anything. And a lot of people feel even stronger about that than I do. But like the direction is not the strongest point in this movie for me.
I agree with that. I think there was so many other elements that like lifted it up that it was almost on autopilot, like as a concept. And it's just like, also everyone's like, they had so much against them between COVID and the strikes and blah blah. I'm like, every film,
every other movie.
I know. I'm like, it's kind of like, it's like when people like look at like Taika Waititi's stuff, and like there's no shade, but they're like, Taika Waititi made this genius stuff. I'm like, but a film is made with a lot of people. I'm like, he has like producing partners. I'm like, and so it's like the goods are, I don't know. I agree though. I think it was kind of like,
it was up to Cynthia and Ariana to carry the movie themselves, it seems.
Yeah. Well, and I was watching the and I clipped a couple of these, but I was watching them talk about it during the Oscars, and there's literally Cynthia had a whole thing where they came to her with like during the Osdas ballroom sequence, right? Like where she has the hat and she has to get the hat back onto her head after putting it down, because it's like that's her like empowerment moment or whatever. And she said that they came to her with an entire choreographed thing already done, and she was just like, yes, but no. And like then had all of her own thoughts.
She did the yes and, but she did the no afterwards. Yes.
She did the succession where like no, no, yeah, no, yeah. Like
it's just like I feel like too there was so much, especially kind of like in the chat, like design and cast, like the cast also down to like hair design, like hair, makeup, everything about it was so detailed by everyone else in the production. And then when you look at the individual shots, like there's a shot of Ethan Slater and like just like leaning back and like little micro shots, and I'm like, that didn't need to be there. And I agree with this 50% of directing is casting. And the crazy part is that after being in casting, like directors have beef with casting, being like, the reason casting never was eligible for Oscars was because directors didn't view them as directors. So like a lot of times casting was the only main title credit that never actually got an Oscar. So like everyone always cuts casting first, but then people always praise the casting and then praise the director, and it's always like that was always the beef when I was in casting. That was
and then it seems like the directors a lot of times when I've watched for this show so much director commentary and stuff like that. It seems like they're almost reluctant a lot of times to be like, "Thanks, we had such a good casting director and this person."
Right.
Oh well,
Yeah, it's all me.
It's crazy because like it always
They'll give it up for the writers first. Yeah.
Yeah, it literally always bothered me whenever they would be like, directors would be like, I called Cynthia and I blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you do realize that casting had to go through the whole process of approvals, negotiation with the agents, like doing all this, and said like, you know, I mean, that's after a choice, but like casting brings the choices, and like you hire casting to bring you those choices. And then the director and casting have a conversation. But it's like the amount of times in casting, like for my old boss, we would be like, have you thought about this person? And it's like, for example, like in Hacks for Jean Smart, they were not even considering it until my boss was like, what about Jean Smart? And then they were like,
wasn't a comedian, but she was a great actress. And so they probably were
just got done doing Legion.
And she's so perfect in that show.
Yeah.
Couldn't be anyone else.
And casting was like, hey, like, have you thought about this? Or like a lot of times casting will make those choices, like being like, okay, but historically, like, would this person have been like this gender, this race? Like, let's try this. And so like, there's a lot that people don't realize within that. Anyway, that's my little freaking soapbox. And I always beef when I see directors being like, I chose that. I was like, is there casting on your credits? Let's think about this.
So there's the guy, Mark Platt, that was the producer, was looking for someone to direct it for like 22 years or something. Like I was watching.
That's Ben Platt's dad.
Nepo babies.
And
that guy.
So he was looking for someone for 22 years, and finally John Chu loved Wicked, I guess, and they cast him. They chose him as director based on how much he liked the musical. But like there already was, like, he was already ready to make it. I guess Winnie Holtzman, who did the original Broadway script or whatever, like not the music part, but like the writing, like her production partner was Stephen Schwartz. Like, so co-wrote the screenplay for it. Stephen Schwartz was on, or like hanging out around the set all the time trying to write. Like, I guess he's gonna write another song for the second part.
There's like 2 more songs that they're gonna have, and I'm like, if they take away Nessa's song, then
are they pining for best original song? Like, like
next year, probably.
Oh my God,
yeah. We have to come up with
good
an
part.
Song. I think it could be rap. We gotta get Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I was literally like, was Lin busy directing? Like, where was Lin directing?
I know. Thank God we dodged the bullet with him being involved in Wicked, though. I will say that.
Elmal is gonna win Best Song, and all the wrong lessons are gonna be learned yet again. That is absolutely gonna happen. Guarantee it. Put some bet on it.
He's like, yo, I have a song about Tim Kaine. I can add it to the thing, but change the name.
So someone, Jordan asked about how many read for Alphabet. Leah Michelle.
I'm very happy they didn't pick her. I didn't.
Well, she didn't read for it. Get it, sir.
Good.
I didn't even watch more than
I got it,
the first season of Glee or whatever when I was young, and I already was like, "Oh, she annoys me." Like,
Trust me, I knew Leah Michelle back in 2006 from Spring Awakening. I'm friends with people who knew her personally, and she's just
getting shout outs now. We're trying to do a show.
Oh my
here.
God!
Yeah. Hello.
Hey.
Kiana loves Wicked.
All right.
Aw.
Yeah.
Peace and love. Like and subscribe. Anyway, Kristen Melody would be interesting.
That would be wild.
I have, for those who know Wizard of Oz lore, know that there's a lot of Easter eggs in Wicked. And I'm going to go through some of them. Okay. So, with the Universal logo, it's in black and white. Then it goes to color, like in the Wizard of Oz. The hat is shown, like on the stage show. That's how you see like a giant hat on stage. And then you actually end up seeing Dorothy, Scarecrow, Tin Man, and Lion going back to the Emerald City.
You see them like walking.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God. It was so bad.
Did you Leonardo DiCaprio point at the
Yeah, I was doing that the entire time. I was like, wait a minute.
I was gonna say at one point when you were not doing that. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. They're talking about Alicia Weir, who was Abigail, the fucking creepy vampire girl. They're talking about having her as Dorothy, which I think would be great casting.
I mean, it's on for 2 seconds, so I feel like they can't really fuck up that casting that bad, you know?
Yeah.
Like, read one line, day player on set, they're good.
I think we cast Darcy as a grown man, as Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson, yeah.
All the backups for the
ruin a movie with one alt casting. Mel Gibson. I guess anybody really in this movie. Yeah.
I think
It's like
another
Lea
one.
Michele, Mel Gibson. Sorry.
Oh God.
She's
She's Catholic. She's actually not Jewish, believe it or not, because her mother's Catholic. But another
All right,
one.
all right, go on. Yeah, give us the next one.
Another one is how Bach is standing because he's leaning a certain way. Then he sits up straighter, and I'm like,
okay.
Okay.
These are more like acting choices.
Yeah, but there's also they mentioned Gulch. They had like a student named with the last name Gulch, like from Wizard of Oz. The mentions of poppies all the time. Like I'm like, okay, we know that she likes poppies.
And the whole scene where they're like falling asleep.
Yeah.
Who doesn't? You know, you go to Afghanistan, you pick up some poppies. You know, like I'm with her.
Yeah. Another one.
I joined the Taliban.
I mean, Saddam Hussein was the inspiration for her in the novel, so
it's
all connected.
Yeah. Also, the Cowardly Lion, where they're rescuing the Cowardly Lion. Obviously, spoilers. I guess I don't care.
The Lion Club. Yeah, clearly. Is that even like? I mean,
when
that's just a plot
riding
point.
Off
really.
on the bicycle, she's got the same type of bike that Amara Gulch has. The same basket.
Yeah.
The lion peeks his head out like Toto does.
Wizard and I, when she's like launching up in the rainbow,
and this blue birds. Also, too, the motif of Over the Rainbow is used a lot in this show. As Stephen Schwartz points that out.
There's like little bits and pieces of it here.
Parallel between her and Dorothy, like they want something much bigger.
They also have the same. They have the font. I don't think it's of the original.
Yeah, the Wicked.
Font.
Yeah, it's very similar. Yeah,
the one from Pearl, right?
Yeah, it's the same one from Pearl.
I mean, it's not like a symbol, but the cameo of Stephen Schwartz, which I realized was him last night, where it's like, the wizard will see you now.
Yeah.
Like with that exact enthusiasm in the film.
Another one is
and once again, I'm going to say that law enforcement in Oz doesn't look that scary.
Yeah, no, it's literally Capitol Police on January 6th.
It's just like, no, stop, wait, don't.
And another Easter egg, which is another acting choice, is that when Elphaba goes to she's like, I can't do this. She goes to turn around and Glynis stops her from leaving. That's a reference to the Cowardly Lion.
Yeah,
getting scared of the wizard and them trying to bring him back.
Tries to haul ass out of there.
Yeah,
okay.
I was actually kind of proud of them because they get into the room and they don't freak out when there's a giant head, and I was like, wow, the next people to do this handled it a lot worse.
Oh yeah,
you
hear Ding Dong, the witch is dead in the score at the beginning of No One Wants Her Wicked. Yep, you hear that. Yep, that's true too. I love the comments.
They had so many little choices in the film. Also, choice, if anyone was on TikTok, the girl with the bob cutting was it like a waffle or like her breakfast or something.
Yeah, she's like all
that.
Yeah,
I loved that.
What is this feeling? She's like all over. I'm like she's doing most of the work here with this choreography.
Yeah. I know. I was like, oh.
What did you guys think of? Because I definitely have thoughts. The entire flying monkeys thing, right? Like,
oh man.
I think that number one, it's heartbreaking to see obviously the torture that goes into the first monkey, and then to see all of them kind of freaking out, and the terrifyingly chilling Michelle Yeoh, if you want to see your families again, you'll get that girl, and it's like
I was like, what are their family lives? Like I said this last night, I was like, where do they must have families?
Where's that workplace comedy? Yeah, exactly.
You'll never guess. Yeah. You'll never guess what he did to me today. I have wings now.
Yeah, it's
just two monkeys sitting around by the water cooler, BSing about how much of a asshole their boss is.
Yeah.
I was like,
man,
one guy.
check this out. I guess I got wings. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this.
For those who
did one of you guys drink a Red Bull? I don't know.
So for context is that their animals are being stripped of their rights to be able to speak. They're being caged up. They're being suppressed. And for some reason, people think the wizard could help. But I'm like, motherfuckers, he's one doing it. What do you think is going on here? And so that kind of radicalizes Elphaba, because in the Wicked novel, it's kind of like an allegory for fascism. And Elphaba becomes the Marxist type. Glinda is a neoliberal. We see that in the movie as well. And the wizard is a fascist. And we all know.
But these are just plot. These aren't Easter eggs. These are like plot points.
I know. I'm just
right?
some contest because we're mentioning the monkeys, and I'm like, we got to talk about the animal aspect of it all.
I think that after rewatching the Adam McKay movie, Don't Look Up. After rewatching Don't Look Up, and seeing the Ariana Grande thing where she gives the performance where she's like singing like
that's right,
yeah, and then seeing like Wicked like within the same kind of time frame, I think, because I went and saw it in theaters I guess like a couple months after that. But I was thinking about that when she's so good at like that really performative liberalism that she does multiple times where she's like, like, my name's like Glinda, now it's Glinda, like in solidarity with the animals, like
right, and like these meaningless gestures. Didn't somebody in our Discord say she could be an MSNBC host? I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah, too real.
I was I was dying.
Howard Lyons, the head of the DNC.
Oh, dude.
Hakeem Jeffries?
This is too depressing. No, but I think that's. It's interesting to have that recontextualized because when he wrote those books, Greg McGuire, it was Oklahoma City bombing, Bush into Clinton, like it's sort of like there's all this what is the nature of evil in the world, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's interesting to see that recontextualized and have sort of the banal resistance liberal things just be like, oh no, they don't even have to change anything really. Like it's just, you have to like put accents in different places and just updates it. Which puts it a cut above almost any other of the adaptations, especially dark and gritty ones that may or may not involve cyborgs of Wizard of Oz.
And I think the like in the age of Trump, right? Like having the wizard, and it's in the it's in the musical too, but having the wizard kind of be like the showman. That's he's managed to, he's really managed to dazzle all of Oz into.
He's like, oh, this is a bit much, don't you think?
Yeah,
it's like Facing the Crowd. Andy Griffith in Facing the Crowd is like very much like Goldblum's wizard in a lot of ways. Go ahead, Julia.
I was gonna say, even like when he does in the movie where it's like, oh my god, he came in from alone. Like when he's like, oh my ha, and it's like he's reading the Grimoire, like he can do it. It's like that was like one of my favorite things. It's like, literally, he's an idiot. Like literally, he's not magical. Like he's like, y'all are just really like that.
He's saying he's from Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah, which is
his name's Oscar Diggs.
He's a little bit less like a wizard, a little more like Connor Oberst from Bright Eyes.
Yeah. Is it weird though?
Saddle Creek, everybody, like and subscribe. Thank you.
Isn't it so fascinating though that the green elixir makes her skin green? She has all these powers, yet he is powerless. Like something was in that stuff that he made.
GHB.
Yeah, exactly. She was the prophecy. She's the one who could read the Grimoire, not him. Her.
Yeah,
that's why he needed her.
Yeah. So fascinating.
Yeah, I will say
it's the Shrek elixir. It's the Shrek drink from when they had it at 7-Eleven. The Slurpee.
Right, I was thinking the drink or like the thing whenever they became human. Like human Shrek, that was like deeply unsettling.
I hated human Shrek.
I will say, and this is and by source material, I mean McGuire's novels, that like, he did go a long way towards explaining things that really didn't need to be explained. Like you didn't need to give an origin story for that. But like at the time, it was such a revolutionary concept because, again, to be clear, there's a lot of these books. Just the L. Frank Baum one says at least a dozen of them. I've actually read all of them but one. I haven't read any of the other fan fiction ones, like his kids and like friends of friends wrote. I'm like, all right, it's enough of these. But it's an adaptation of something that, this is pre-World War I that like it was written, right?
Yeah.
So he was bringing it not only just into the modern age, he was bringing it into, like post-World War II age, let alone like the 90s and whatnot. So it makes sense. And we're more used to seeing those kinds of things now. Like, look at something like Cobra Kai. I love Cobra Kai. It's probably gone on about a season too long, frankly, but it's one of the best things where it continues the mythos of Karate Kid, but adds an adult sensibility and it gives you a parallax view. It turns around a character you thought was a villain that was just misunderstood. Although it's hilarious when you hear Johnny Lawrence relate.
It redeems Karate Kid 3 as well because Terry Silver.
Oh, and it brings back characters that were good in bad movies and lets them kind of do good work that adds to this overall narrative story.
Yeah.
Although it's played more for comedy in Cobra Kai because Johnny Lawrence, like when he tells his side of the story, it's always like, it was an illegal kick. You know, it's hilarious.
Yeah. But also all these basically on TikTok, people believe that Trump was actually Elphaba, and there was like this weird
I saw that too.
Oh, blah, blah. And then I went to see it in theaters, so I saw it twice in theaters. The second time I saw it in theaters, I was in Staten Island and surrounded by people that prior to the movie didn't understand the concept of gender neutral bathrooms. So I was like, oh brother. I was like, I am not amongst the crowd to be watching.
Make America green again.
Literally, I was like, how do you see it? Yeah, no, but they actually take it, and those when you're talking about needed explaining, even still, it's just completely missed, which is
so I say that, right, and then I'm like, well, apparently people need to explain more. I don't so clearly I'm not the friggin' target market for that, but it's also just it's a cute way of, because he was a fan of the OG material. Frank Baum, but he wanted to add something new.
W. Frank Baum, because all he did was.
But then also, if you think about things like the ruby slippers, right? Because there were silver shoes in the book, and then of course all people know is ruby slippers. And why is that, Kristina?
Technicolor. Red looks so much better on screen than silver.
So getting to integrate that in a way while not having the rights to them because they're copywritten and you can't use them.
That's why in the musical, Julia, a red light shines on them in Act 2.
Yeah.
Because people needed to clean to them. Hey, those are the same slippers.
I think they're going to CGI a glow on those silver slippers. Mark my words. That's only how they could do that.
They're gonna
more than likely.
They're gonna Thanos glove. You have to collect the slippers on each slipper is a different.
But it's interesting to see what of the Oz mythos was and wasn't used, because I mean in Baum's books there were the Gnome King wasn't even in Oz, and again Return to Oz, which is it's not even that bad of an adaptation. It's an adaptation of 2 books, so it's doing a lot. It's Ozma of Oz and Marvelous Land of Oz, and it's interesting to see it be like, oh no, this one's Britain and this one's whatever. He brought in at the time 90s political machinations and whatnot to it, and there was nobody doing that at the time. And for me, it was a little less. I was like, okay, I see what you're doing. You're trying to turn it into Dune. Cool, I like Dune, but you didn't need to. But okay. Second reference to Wicked, by the way. I wasn't intending to do any of this, but it's interesting to see what of that moves over to what I guess we have to call the Trump era, because clearly the wizard is Trump, right? In this case, and as Glinda's the ineffectual liberal, apparently capitulators, at least in this movie.
Yeah.
And it fits right in.
Even on TikTok, you could be like, no, this is the heavy elephant in the room is that's Trump, but they just don't get it, even in the comics.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people don't even get
the
Starship Troopers, right? There's a whole thing where people are I don't even get the Starship Troopers as a parody of
just a bunch of jingoism. I'm like, okay. Yes, but it's taken to an absurd degree, which makes it satire.
But then on the flip, I think that's always been kind of the beauty of many musical theater things, because how I've always viewed musical theater and theater is it's literature performed. It's basically everything is there's so much interpretation of things where you may not feel it aligns with your views, but that's also the journey for us as us or people in the arts to perform that and be it may not align with your views, but it's how you interpret it is what the point is. And I mean, I'm just saying that being devil's advocate, because clearly there is with Wicked, but I found that interesting within theater as a whole, that it's no, there's actually more to this. You should actually read into it and interpret it instead of being oh, hee hee ha ha.
The Phantom of the Opera is an incel story if you really think about it.
I mean,
I guess it is. Yeah,
it went from Gregory Maguire in 1995, at the same time as the Oklahoma City bombings, that kind of thing. Yeah. They went into that as almost like a Bill Clinton style. That's how they were going to interpret the wizard for Wicked, and then George Bush, lumbered on stage, and they're like, "Oh, this is so much better." So the writing and everything, they kind of moved it, I think, down to 2003, because literally on the as the invasion of Iraq was was
Yeah,
about
you're with us or you're against us. Like,
Yeah.
But you also, I
guess
like,
that would make more about the Cheney of the situation. I don't know.
Or
We'll have to
like-
consult Adam McKay for this.
Well,
But.
or like how Lord Voldemort had Bellatrix Lestrange. Every Melvin dictator, evil person has a right hand lady standing by him.
But like, I think also too, going back to kind of what we're talking about, is like we also wouldn't have musical theater without like politics and musical theater are actually very much intertwined. Like the golden age of musical theater in like the 50s and whatnot was because people were was escapism and like looking for that, light post World War II, actually end of and into it. And it's like that kind of started the whole musical theater movement, if you will. And then we see like Parade in the end of the 90s and like it's fully about a historical event. Like then you have these like depressing musical theater shows, but like again, we wouldn't have what we have without like life events, and you can correlate what's happening in the world to theater, which I always find like really interesting.
Yeah, well,
and there's a long history of it too. Like it goes all the way back to I think something like To Be or Not to Be by Lubitz or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh no, we're going to use this to like very elegantly critique like Hitler as well as like the Allies' response to Hitler, and just show how ridiculous musical theater people can be. But it'll also be awesome and hilarious. And it's like do all these things at once, but in a way that by nature of using that as the medium, it allows it to kind of transgress just telling one type of story because of that. And I think that's a very astute point.
Well, within 2 years of The Wizard of Oz coming out, they had, and I love it because of the name, but they have like the Wizard of Oz musical extravaganza, which was L. Frank Baum had to do with it, but it was a play that would travel around, and based on his Wizard of Oz book. And that's where the actual theory about populism and the gold standard comes from with the books, because they would actually take whatever was going on in the day and they would change words based on where they were and based on like what the news of the day was, pretty much. So they would have like the Tin Man be like, that looks like gold to me or something, and then everyone would laugh and they'd be like, but like it's not a joke.
It's the improv group saying, okay, give me something that happened to you today. And guess what? It didn't work and he died of pauper, and that sucks.
But yeah, that's like that was within 2 years of the book coming out.
Yeah.
But it's interesting too when it comes to movie musical adaptations. A lot of them fail. It's very difficult to adapt stage to screen. I mean, Lindsay Ellis was pointing this out. Like, no one wants to see Hadestown the movie. I'm like, maybe I wouldn't mind. I mean, they're filming a version from like the London cast or whatever. But like, I always say like Chicago and Sweeney Todd are like two of the best movie musical adaptations, because Sweeney Todd is very narrative. It has a very narrative storyline. You got people telling you what's going on, but Tim Burton and Stephen Sondheim took away that and show, not tell what's going on.
Yeah,
because the music already should tell you what you like. The song should also narrate the story, in my opinion. And Chicago was really good too, because they knew when to make it a big spectacle and when to tone it down. That's why even Hairspray worked pretty well. But like you have some like Jersey Boys where they just suck the soul out of it.
Yeah.
Or you had the Phantom of the Opera where it's like Warner Brothers should have let Andrew Lloyd Webber not have full control of it.
But what's funny is like when you're talking about show don't tell, which what we do in film versus stage, is like a lot of the movie musicals that have been adapted are often like operettas, which is majority telling, not showing. So it's like it's funny that like all these like they're actually choosing the hardest thing to make into a film to be successful, which I think was cool about Wicked. Again, I have my beef with freaking Mean Girls and how that happened, but like,
yeah, me too.
Even with Les Mis, I think they did a great job, but also the casting that was like truly like my villain origin story was Russell Crowe. But I'm just like, I think we need more
as the wizard, Russell Crowe as the wizard.
That is a sentimental man.
Dude, Sentimental Man it was already my go to the bathroom and pee song. If it was Russell Crowe, that would be like, I would be my go to the bathroom, get popcorn level.
The wizard, the wizard's just sweating, just disgusting sweat coming off of his face, and he's like, "Hey, girls," and they're like, "Okay, go back in there. We'd rather have
get back in your little pod. Just I don't want to look at that.
We'd rather look at the scary head."
Oh my god, yeah.
No, but I think all that's very interesting, and which goes back to the critique. Becky Rice, who was on For Real Pain, like she like didn't like the way it was like lit. She didn't like the way like any of the dancing was depicted. Like it's one of those things where there are decisions you make as a movie. They're not the same decisions you're going to make if you have a Broadway show, a theater show, and. Yeah. If you don't want to be the Phantom Menace, you goddamn well better be showing, not telling. Because that's a classic example of how not to do it.
I mean, fine to me. Like in the theater, it looked like how a lot of people see movies these days. But like when we watched in Discord, I'm like, oh, there's color.
Yeah.
It's
I watched it in my
weird for it to be Technicolor. It would be weird for it to be in Technicolor or how Pearl was lit.
I think I would have dug it, but it's harder to make a movie like that. In that way, like I saw Riddle of Fire recently, and they shot it all in 16mm. It was awesome, and it was perfect for the vibe of that movie. But I don't think it's the vibe of this movie.
Yeah.
The only.
I mean, it's definitely not because they didn't do it. But I mean, I don't think it would have been the correct decision.
I'm also like shocked. I'm shocked why we don't have more like a new version of like Gene Kelly about Show Don't Tell, because I've been deep on my like. Classic movie musicals. I would.
Hugh Jackman as the wizard would actually be kind of awesome. I'd be okay with that.
You mean the boyfriend to Sutton Foster?
Yes.
Oh that is the most expensive theater couple I've ever. That was criminal.
I know.
Music Man for their tickets like $800 to $1,000. I was like, now I don't like Hugh Jackman anymore. Now I don't like Sutton Foster anymore just because of that. I was so upset.
She's a thoroughly modern Millie.
You know what? But she is a ticket thief. Like
Well, before we got Jackman pilled, what was your point you were making, Julia? I wanted you to finish.
I was basically like, I don't know why we don't have more like dancing musicals anymore. Like that sounds really lame, but like that's literally showing us. No, oh my god, I actually literally blocked that out of my brain. And I really dislike that you brought that up because I purposely pushed that.
That's why we got COVID.
Yeah, no,
she was traumatized by that cat butthole.
Yeah, if we didn't need James Corden in a movie even more. Like,
oh my god, we dodged a bullet right there. He could have been Dr. Dillerman,
or he could have been the wizard.
I think they would have done Wizard.
Get in my car.
Please,
no, they would have done him as Bowen Yang's character. That would have that would have been.
I think he is Bowen Yang's character.
Well, also too, like I mean,
Well, hold on. I want to get back to like think of something like Young Girls of Rochefort or something, right? Which is something that like because a lot of times when you have movie musicals, they're just it's like whatever Amelia Perez was, right? And it's like, okay, if you think back to like Singing in the Rain or something, why is that so great? It's because there's a seamless melding of it, but also it's like Gene Kelly, like you have people that like really know that world. Young Girls of Rochefort, it's like Demi's masterpiece. Like it's like thing he was building up an entire career to do, and there's still nothing like it. But I think that people somehow think it's easy for some reason, and it's weird how like Busby Berkeley's stuff was considered cheesy.
Yeah.
At the time.
Oh, it's
like it was not considered cool at all. It was like ugh, this. But it's funny because we see in The Big Lebowski and we're like, this is awesome, and we know the cultural reference, and this is like badass and hilarious.
Yeah.
But it has achieved a cultural cachet and saturation just based on presence, and I feel like. Once again, Hollywood always learns all the wrong lessons.
Yeah. I think we just need to like guerrilla market all like the movie musicals, like get like freaking Ethan Slater on like a Pop-Tart package. Like you go to an Italian restaurant, like looking at the menu, ordering your gnocchi, and like Indina Menzel's like, see Wicked too. And guerrilla marketing always works for movies. And
it's doing right now for Conclave. The Pope's got pneumonia. So like, that's the guerrilla marketing right there.
Yeah.
Gotta vote. We gotta vote for a new pope.
Conclave the musical. Conclave the musical will go hard.
Oh,
I just like there's something about the marketing that I'm like, who is hiring these Although Wicked's marketing went feral. I was like,
can I say I can't think of anything that would necessitate dancing less than a papal enclave voting.
That
is like God tier.
Well, with the marketing,
the Pope is dead.
You know what big film? You know what big film came before Wicked that was part of Universal? Oppenheimer. with Universal with Wicked, they were like, okay, we're gonna
make
take
a
all the
bomb, make a bomb. Sorry.
Oh my god, they should do like a BOGO like movie purchase. Like it's like, okay, if you see Wicked Part 2, you see like whatever big film also for free. Combined movie pass. I fear we're developing a marketing scheme.
We're giving it away for free too. We're chumps.
But also too, Universal was inspired by the Barbie marketing from Warner Brothers. So they're like, we're gonna use all the Oppenheimer money and make a bomb style.
No, the way I was like Oppenheimer, like Poppers and Oppenheimer. Anyone?
Poppers and Oppenheimer. I mean, they're all doing poppers. They're like,
I was gonna say like half the cast was
I wait. What you guys are saying though with the acting, right? Like, I think that somebody like Ariana Grande works really well here because she's someone that knows the the musical world and like was so into it, and that shows on screen for her whole performance.
She's super well deployed. Like she is. I didn't.
She's like the bomb and up.
Like I didn't know enough to be skeptical or excited because I think I'd only seen her and Don't Look Up, and as I canonically have established, I'm not familiar with her music, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. But she was the perfect person to do this because first of all, she was a fan, so that's always good, right?
Yeah.
And familiar with the material, also good.
Yeah.
But she was able to approach it in such a way that there was a reality, and that's what I was saying when I invoked Gene Kelly, right? It's like, well, the Gene Kelly stuff is like, well, Gene Kelly's an amazing dancer. Gene Kelly, Demi, like, put him up against Catherine Deneuve, even though it was like a 20-30 year age difference or something, and that story really doesn't make that much
Hollywood.
sense.
Yeah.
But it's Gene freaking Kelly, right? And like other than I don't know. I don't know who that would be now. I mean, they want it to be Chalamet, but like it would have to be like I guess Hugh Jackman. I don't know, but it works. But Grande, like it's good. I was stoked when she got supporting actress nomination. I was like, good, because that's like I don't think the movie works the way that we need it to work without her doing that.
I think
I don't even know what would that all casting be? Who would that be?
I think everyone had such low expectations, like for Ariana and everyone, that like they were expecting so little that it was so good already that it also like blew everyone's minds, and I feel like that just added to everything about it.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I think Ariana Grande has benefited from that like a few times because I feel like whenever whenever a pop star enters the acting space, right? Like, and they're like they're not familiar.
The assumption is not that they're gonna kill it. Usually, it's like, all right,
and I think she has proven that she can like a few times now.
Yeah, because she's acted before. She's done like Nickelodeon shows and whatever. But,
but I don't think most people
like
that are
Nick.
like. Yeah, I don't think most people like
dramatic.
Have you seen her on Nickelodeon though?
Have you seen her on Nick? Yeah.
Like they're like pitching her reel from Victorious, and they're like, "This is a freaking Oscar right here." You don't even know acting.
So Conan, since you asked what type of movie without Ariana Grande, here's some celebrities who auditioned for
Lay it on us.
Part. Disney star Dove Cameron auditioned for Glinda. So did Renee Rapp from Mean Girls. Amanda Seyfried from Les Mis and Mean Girls.
Okay.
My neighbor
Louderman.
That was Broadway. Oh, there was whole drama on Theater TikTok about that.
Yeah. Celebrity audition for Elphaba. Leah Michelle. And I think that's like it.
That's
it. That's a weird. That's a wow.
Yeah.
That's a wild collection of broads.
Yeah, I mean, there's still other ones.
I think I was sick, so I didn't get to go to this. But there was
the audition. No, I'm kidding.
No. The Amanda Seyfried, I guess, lives somewhere around around here, like around Kingston or something, and she has like a weird, she has like a homesteading barn type situation now or something up there. I had no idea about this, but she interviewed the whole cast of the Blair Witch Project at like a local festival. For their like 25th anniversary edition of the Blair Witch Project, and she interviewed the cast on like making the movie.
She was in Twin Peaks: The Return. I just looked that up because like I'm like, no, she wasn't. I was like, no, but I think she was. But she was absolutely in Twin Peaks: The Return.
I feel like she has enough money to do sequels and not go into like a financial deficit. You know, like she's good. She can just do it.
Also, Lady Gaga was rumored to be up for the role of Elphaba, and I'm like, oh.
Huh. That's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has
auditioned.
Amanda
She talked
Seyfried,
about it on the talk show.
has a farmhouse in Catskill that they renovated.
What are you doxing her? Like what are we doing here?
You're like, yeah, you're just like, here's her address, and she's usually here on the weekends.
When she's not working in New York City.
She'll
Also,
be at this event.
the Jonas Brothers auditioned for Fierro. Nick and Joe did. I'm like, okay.
Never Kevin. Never Kevin.
No, because he's the ugly one.
Oh yeah, she was Seyfried was Bobby and Shelley's kid in Twin Peaks 3.
Yeah,
I have to say, her and Les Mis like really bothered me because she was like, like she like did this thing with her voice that I just like. It's like Eddie Redmayne. I was like, y'all need to figure out what's going on with these vibratos. And then Eddie Redmayne did Cabaret recently in the West End, and that was okay, and that was a great choice. But like her little like during Les Mis, I was like, I can't.
Eddie Redmayne was weird in Cabaret. I'm like, you can't even be. I'm like, he out weirded both Alan Cumming and Joel Grey.
He's
that
like
was viral, right? His moment in Les Mis or whatever they had, or I don't know. A while back, there was like they showed that at the Tonys. They had, and everyone was sharing his performance. Eddie Redmayne.
from Cabaret. Yeah.
Like, hear me out. Like the way that Timothée Chalamet is like. Really weird white guy that does really weird things but does good dramatic roles is the American version of Eddie Redmayne that like is just like a weird guy that does weird things for fun and then just like does absolutely like banger performances of things.
Yeah, the Brad Pitt.
I don't like when they made Eddie Redmayne trans. That was the
Danish girl.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty crazy. That was a crazy time. For society.
Yeah, but I mean, like you'd think that we'd move past that, but then Amelia Perez is the Danish girl of now. Like,
well, it shows that we've considering that like what's happened in the past few weeks, we've advanced a little bit, but for the wrong reasons. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Go Conclave.
Yes.
But
we need to put that.
It's amazing. Like a lot of people are like mad that Ariana Grande is not winning. Like I'm like, she's winning awards for Glinda. It's like lesser, film, awards. But I'm like, this is her first big film, and she's nominated for an Oscar. That's a big deal, in my opinion. So
Oscar nominated, it's okay.
Well, theater kids are going to be upset over like literally everything. You can like do something, and they're just like rioting. It's fine.
Yeah, because in the back of their mind, they're always thinking, "I could have done this."
Better. Yeah. Like, I was a little hoarse that day, but like I had it in the bag.
I could have done it.
I had my.
Should have been me.
I get to be the horse of a different color.
Whoops, hold on. That's me. Sorry. I was trying to put my name.
We have two Conan.
Don't add me.
Ooh. Oh. So another one thing
you'll see what I'm trying to do, and it's worth it. But anyway.
I know.
I thought you were trying to clone yourself. No, that's not it.
So another thing that I liked is how Cynthia Erivo really wanted to bring the essence of Margaret Hamilton's isms as the witch into Wicked, like the scene where she's trying to levitate the coin. There's that one photo of her, of Margaret Hamilton with the shadow of her nails. And so she wanted Elphaba to have long nails. And so there's that scene where you see the shadow of her hand doing the same type of pose. And I was like, oh, there.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they did that, though. They had, I'm like, without Margaret Hamilton, we wouldn't this wouldn't be possible. We got to give our flowers to her. And I think she's she didn't think that any of this would happen, that her character would have a sympathetic backstory.
Yeah.
They're bringing Margaret Hamilton back as like a hologram.
Yeah.
At the premiere.
Well, I mean, she was a part of a banned Sesame Street episode because she scared kids in her green makeup. But then when she went on Mr. Rogers, which you and I love, Forrest, is how she was like, I'm just dressing up. It's not.
What am I, a noted Mr. Rogers hater? I think who doesn't love Mr. Rogers? That's like a.
What have you? Seen?
We've played the clip of Mr. Rogers and her where Mr. Rogers like.
Yeah,
on I think
boys
we did
and
the Wizard
girls
of Oz,
do play witches, and I'm like, he said trans rights right there. That's what's up.
Yeah, I mean, I think Margaret Hamilton does a great job in that too. For the rest of her life, she was kind of plagued by being recognized as the witch everywhere she went. So it's her own kind of wicked story in a way. She just it's crazy that if you do a good enough job. Yeah, if you do a good enough job.
12 minutes worth of screen time, by the way. Probably the first known villain in film.
And she basically got set on fire at some point too. So it was a
Wow.
very eventful 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Hopefully
I
this
think-
makeup was much safer.
I think Cynthia like absolutely crushed, and also like everything that like especially non-theater people like didn't really know Cynthia. Like it wasn't like she was like a household name like Ariana Grande. So like it's amazing that Cynthia was pretty much now is more of a household name, and B, like she is so talented and has put her heart and soul in every single role she's done that like her getting Elphaba was just like so perfect because it was like one of those like so well deserved. I think it also brought like a different people had always seen Elphaba in a particular, but she added that element. I think also like her being Black like added that extra element of Elphaba that like I think people had always kind of like felt but like never actually saw, and I thought it was like really really cool that they had done that and straight up been like, again, we really have to explain a lot of things to people, but it was really cool, and I'm so psyched for everything that she's probably receiving and getting and like the love because it's just so great.
Yeah, because we're used to seeing mostly like Jewish actresses play Elphaba on stage.
Yeah.
Like it's like it's like almost having oppressed people being represented in that regard. So it's good that we're actually starting to see more women of color play these roles as well. And again, like I knew who Cynthia was, and the fact that people are like, oh, they made Wicked woke, and I'm like, oh my god, people. I'm like, her color, the color of her skin is green, regardless. She's not gonna get greenified, okay?
Wicked is literally
She's gonna be Jesus Christ superstar, and they're bitching. I'm like, they're finally casting Jesus Christ as a Black man. I'm like, what's wrong with the Black woman? Like, fuck, it's a concert.
Yeah, but I think it's like cool though that we just I don't know. I'm glad that I love when theater performers get to be on screen and then like people get to like acknowledge and recognize them and they're like, oh my god, they can act and sing. It's like, well, what do you think they do for 8 nights a week? And it's like significantly harder. Like, hello?
Yeah, right.
It's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think casting her was a good choice, and I think that having like honestly like a pretty like lib-coded Munchkinland where everyone like it's an extremely diverse Munchkinland, and like I think that it works really well that like despite all of like the diversity and everybody kind of being of different ethnicities, clearly they still are like, oh look, a different person, she's green, and that means we're racist towards her. And I feel like
but not in the Emerald City though.
But I feel like they did a good job not bashing you over the head with that message, right? Like, I mean, I'm thinking about watching it as someone like that doesn't, share that sentiment. Like, I think I could still watch that and not feel like, there was like being an agenda pushed at me or whatever. But like, I think it's subtle enough. I like both the wizard being like a fascist kind of tyrant person and like the the discrimination message. Because I think anybody can really see themselves in Elphaba if they've been kind of ostracized or like bullied in any way.
Yeah. No, that dance scene when she came in, I like literally was like weeping. I think when we were watching last night, when she goes into the Ozdas ballroom, and then it's like, oh my god, I was like, I can't. This whole movie, it was
that animal band rocks too.
The chickens with the little hats too.
So
that's
great.
actually when they're in Oz. I was just like, ugh, the costume.
It's the one thing I wish we saw more of the movie. Like everything else, like nope, it's enough. But I'm like, no, more of that animal band though.
I just like how they're like, oh, this in the Emerald City, like, oh, this woman's green, she blends in. But like, it's funny.
Yeah, with the wall. Like,
yeah. But in the novel, the wizard actually forces the citizens of Oz to wear green glasses so everything looks emerald.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not actually, right? It's like
I did like in like the Oz, whatever those little like water guys are that look like giant little green meatballs with like legs.
Yeah.
They're like twirling in the water. I like them the most. I wish on stage you could do like little water splashing, but that was
they
such
do
a
have
fun
the people
touch.
wearing the big things, but they're not in the water, unfortunately. And I was like, oh,
I know that must have sucked on set.
I
like
would have
all
loved
of them.
Yeah, I would have loved to have my nails done by hummingbirds.
The wearing the green glasses thing, I think, is one of the dumbest things that Greg Greenaway put in that book, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah,
There's
like
some dumb
forcing
stuff
them,
there.
like they're like glued on or whatever.
That's like, I get it. It's like, dude, we don't need you to like Brave New World this. All right, it's okay. Like, it's not necessary.
I mean, I think it's like a concept that I think it gets to the point of it, but like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's necessary. I feel like what works in this day and age for like the
also worse than that, it doesn't work. So I'm glad it's not in the movie.
Yeah,
it just doesn't work.
I don't think it should have been in the movie, but I'm just saying, like, as like a concept, like I can see where that that line of thought goes to. But I think that it's interesting that they didn't have to change this, but like what the Wizard of Oz really is like a real estate developer. Like he's building like roads and like you know what I mean? Like I think that part of it, the fact they didn't have to change that, and the fact that like the road is such a big part of his entire like plan for Oz or whatever. Like,
and we learned where the color comes from.
I feel like that syncs up well with like this moment, and I feel like the green glasses thing would have been like, oh, so he's not even a good real estate developer. That's
well, it's just too many ideas, right? And like it's fine to leave a few out. Really,
that's one that I think that they probably
and I like how he says his signature line, back where I come from.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, we all know what this is gonna lead to.
Take a drink, everybody.
I want to know the lore. I'm like, what was his life? Like, what did he do? Like, what's like? Does he have a wife and kids? You know,
don't acknowledge the James Franco movie either, by the way, because I don't.
Oh God, I had forgotten that existed. And I was so happy, and like now you reminded me, and I'm so sad.
It's like Cats. It's somewhere in there, but it's
like, oh no, that does exist. What a bummer.
Well, like a big part of the thing that Jeff Goldblum talked about and that they've talked about a bunch is like the wizard as like a carny. Like his job was a carny at the Omaha State Fair, and that's why they have the Omaha State Fair balloon.
Yeah, like why is he in a fucking balloon? Like who has access to a hot air balloon? I don't know.
I mean, it was the State Fair
because he was because again this is pre-World War I. Midwest. It's like, oh, it's coming. He's a carny. The carnival's coming to town, and he's gonna.
Remember Professor Marvel's thing in the Wizard of Oz? Like it was like his little traveling, thing. Whatever. He was just someone who a huckster who traveled around, and he
runs out of town before he can be rode out on a rail.
But what if he like needs like a medical procedure? Like there's so many things that I'm like, what happens? Like what's his past life? I'm like nervous for him.
Well, the thing that I like about the actual like the original novel too, like he's a guy that has the balloon, but also is not. There's no way to control where a balloon goes, right? Like so he hops back into his balloon. Yeah, he hops back into his balloon. He's like, I think I'm gonna get back to the Midwest, and then there's no way for him to like bring the balloon. I mean, which now I think there is. You can just do less fire or whatever on the balloon, but like you can bring the balloon up or whatever, and then you can. He's like, well, I'm on my way. I can't stop now. So Dorothy doesn't get back wherever the fuck he goes.
Yeah. But it's clear that he knew. Like from the way I'm assuming Madame Morrible described, because I don't think Madame Morrible knows unless they change that she does know about the the familiar connection between the two, because I'm assuming that she described like this girl with green skin. She's magical, wizard. Like you gotta check her out. And of course he's like, oh my god, this is my daughter right here, y'all. Like yes,
you know what the response to that was? There's actually a video of that response.
Yes.
All right.
That's what I was trying to do, by the way, when I wrecked the show for a minute and a half.
Worth every second.
Yeah.
But also I'm like, okay, damn, that guy got blown over there so long ago that he has like a grown ass adult daughter. And he's never been like, I get it. He's like living in his little like high castle, but like Madame Morrible dead ass controls the weather. Can't you just like float him somewhere? Like just like float him along the way.
I mean, the reason why,
but he's kind of good. Like he's having a great old time. You know, like who is he back in?
That brings me back. Like, what did he do that he like hated his life so much? Like, does he have a wife and kids? You know, like
again, it's like Dust Bowl. Yeah, Dust Bowl era Carney. Like it's like there's not a lot of opportunity running around trying to, but it's like, oh, these people like think he's somebody special, so he can be something special.
Yeah,
and that's like 70. Like his like mother is probably like worried about him. You know what I mean? Like I'm like he probably has people like thinking about him. Like they wrote letters. I'm worried.
Worried about the Wizard of Oz.
They're like you better not be a wizard somewhere.
Yeah. You know? I know. I'm like, I have to put that in my will. Like, if I go missing, I could be in Oz. Like, that could be where I'm at.
Dude, so I will say, as someone who's read all the Oz books, I think I never understood is why would you want to go back? Oz is great. I would just stay in Oz.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, minus the fascism and like the high.
Well, yeah, not McGuire's Oz, L. Frank Baum's Oz, but
like it's so funny. Like some people are like, "Where's she going?" I'm like, "She's going to the Winky Castle that Fierro has."
So America, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just going to the western part of the whatever. Because it's funny because a lot of people are like,
we're fucked.
I remember some people were like, Winky, isn't there like a song in the, I'm like, yeah, March of the Winky Soldiers. Yeah. I'm like, that's where.
Yeah, it's the lands. There's like the Munchkin land. There's Winky land. There's like different like sections of Oz.
It's like
a Winky novel too, the map.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my god. Teletubby land? Like that feels like it could be part of like we created lore, dude. It's actually part of this.
I mean, I always felt that way though about like the movie The Wizard of Oz, right? Because she's like, this is so shitty, this is so shit. Like Dorothy's running around like she just thinks this is like Kansas the worst.
And now
place
there's a
in the
train
world.
I could have taken to the Emerald City.
Well,
okay.
Dorothy thinks that there's a high speed rail. They're gonna President Xi is gonna build the Belt and Road Initiative, and it goes right to the Emerald City. But like Dorothy's spending her whole time being like, oh, it's so shitty here in Kansas, and then they blow her to a place that looks way fucking nicer.
Awesome.
And then she's like, "Oh, I got to get back to A&M.
I got to get back to that shitty black and white Kansas."
Yeah, well, like great. Honestly, I was rewatching it on a plane recently, and like her family like didn't give a fuck. They were, she was like, "Where are you guys?"
Yeah.
And like a tornado was coming, and they ran. They
like, oh, you were gone.
Yeah, they were like, "You're on your own, kid." Like I would.
Her family's like, "That's an extra mouth to feed." If she gets blown off to a different kingdom or like a different land, they're like, that's one less mouth to feed during the Great Depression.
That's what I mean. And then, like, I would not want to go back to Earth. I'd be like, damn.
And in Marvelous Land of Oz, I think that's the one. She goes back again. Yeah. She goes back again. And when Ozma's like, hey, we can be like dual queens, you just be like the queen with me. And she's like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna go back to Kansas. What? Yeah. Girl.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Busy.
Isn't there also like Dorothy and the Wizard or something in Oz? Isn't that? Oh,
I was
she.
say,
well, she keeps coming back for like she keeps coming back to Oz because
she's bi-coastal.
She keeps coming back to Oz because that's the only way that the book sold. So Frank Baum like wanted to actually. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah,
like this was actually just like Dust Bowl propaganda. Like this was Kansas. Like it's so great to visit. It's like the Ohio billboard.
It was funded by the Chamber of Commerce. Yeah,
but like he kept buying Dorothy in Kansas.
He kept bringing Dorothy and Ozma and other characters back because like the people liked it and people would buy the books then because like there's things like Rinky Tinky Oz. It's like. It was supposed to be a standalone book. And they're like, yeah, but what if like at the last third, Dorothy showed up because she'd been watching it. What? Okay. And then like people like that. So
I feel like
that's why
it's a guy discovering that franchises work. He's like one of the first guys being like, whoa, they like it if you just keep adding sequels. Like
that in Narnia, one of the first franchises, right? I mean, with Tolkien, it was more just like one book and then another book, and then he's like, hey, but what about if stuff came before that? Yeah, nobody wants to read that.
Yep.
And then Amazon Prime's like, hold my beer.
So letterbox one-liners.
Sure. Wait. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna limit that to one per show from here forward. But yes, of course, Letterboxd is a place for film lovers to talk at with and to each other about the films they love, maybe the films that they didn't love, maybe the films that they exclusively were thirst posting for Jonathan Bailey. And of course, everything is it's a bottom up democracy. Everyone gets to have their say. Everyone gets to chime and opine. Not just Siskel's and Eberts of the world. Everybody gets to work on their tight five. And of course, these are collected weekly by yours truly for the panel to put on screen and to react to. These are indeed the Letterboxd one-liners for Wicked. Historians will say they were good friends.
Touche.
So true, bestie.
Yeah. Oh, when they fall into the train. Yep.
Yeah.
What were they doing?
She gets pulled into the train and it looks like they're about to kiss, but like clearly John Chu was like, "Whoa, that's queer coded. Bring it back. Bring it back.
Back it off. We're in Trump's America."
Yeah.
Once you guys kiss, you're never gonna stop.
Yeah.
I mean, look. Oh, this is gonna hit theater kids like crack in the 80s.
100%.
Yep.
And lo, it did. Mm-hmm. What would the snowfallification of Oz be? Subscribe to our Patreon to find out.
Yeah, all right. Think about it now. Just giving out, I don't know, little packets of just sequins from the ruby slippers or like the silver slippers.
Yeah.
Like, you want this kid?
I just need one sequin. All right. If I lived in Wicked, I wouldn't let any of these bad things happen on my watch. I would post so many infographics on my Instagram story.
Yeah. I feel like someone from my college wrote this. That's what that feels like.
It's good. It's good. It's solid. Yeah. It's good
Like,
stuff.
did you know 75% of animals now can't talk? And you press the next one, and it's like animals could talk up until recently.
And then the next story is them like wine tasting.
I swear I forgot about this one. Wicked is like Dune for theater nerds. I totally forgot about that. Sorry. Sometimes that happens.
It wriggled into your brain like a sandworm.
It really did.
Or RFK's brainworm, yeah.
If Nessa Rose has 0 haters, consider me dead and crushed by a house.
Oh god, she's a terrible sister. I feel
So
bad for
real.
the actress.
So real. This is like her first movie too.
It's the crush by a house that makes this. By the way, people that ever take notes on this bit for like what works and doesn't work, it's the crush by a house bit for obvious reasons.
Also, by the way, the reason why their last name is Throp, that's what the sound of a house crushing you sounds like. Yeah, that's what Gregory McGuire said.
Science, baby. Exactly. Let that beat throp. Not gonna rest until I get a musical defense of the Gnome King.
Oh wow.
There you go. More returned Oz, everybody. The Gnome King. Is this thing on? Men in LA, get off your phones and stop becoming influencers. We need gaffers. These movies dark as hell. I can't see shit.
Yo, that is goddamn real. I literally was looking at it on TikTok and was like a boomer with a freaking flashlight in a restaurant. I was like, what in the fuck is happening?
The one sequence, at least in the movie theater, I really felt that with was like the Oz Dust Ballroom. Like, it's dark as fucking. Like, they're heavy on the dust. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm like squinting.
To be clear, music venues tend to be dark, but yeah, you're not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Bailey, I am free Thursday. Would you like to come out with me on Thursday? If you're free Thursday, because if you're free on Thursday, we can hang out on Thursday. Or if you're available on Thursday, as I'm available on Thursday. There you go.
Awesome.
I'd go gay for him.
I don't think that's how it works.
I was about to start in this when I was like, hold on. Does not compute. Say again?
Jonathan Bailey, I'm a lesbian now. And he's like, okay.
When the movie ended, there were people waiting around like it was a Marvel movie, and Dorothy was gonna pop up in the post-credit scene.
Because they showed her in the trailer. That's what happened. They showed something.
No, that's not why. It's because people are freaking trained for that stuff now.
And by the way, I saw people doing the same thing in my show, and I'm like, y'all are chumps. I'm out of here.
I stood up. I was also that pretentious person like in LA theater that like goes through the credits and is like, oh my god, I knew them from something. Oh my god, I saw them on Instagram. Like as the credits roll.
That's what you were doing that?
Oh yeah, stand up. Yeah,
that's a very popular move.
I knew she was gonna make it big ever since I saw that one story she posted.
Yeah. You know, we actually follow each other on Instagram still. Did you know that?
Fantastic. No notes. Here comes Glinda in her gay ass bubble.
So real.
I was thinking about when she gets back into the bubble. So she goes back into her echo chamber, right?
Yep.
And she's about to float away, and that one broad is like, Linda,
Messy.
is it true you were her friend? And she has
She's
to
like, what?
She has to pop the bubble and everything, go back out there. I was like, oh, he got whacked when this was over. Like, you're gonna tell everyone that we were friends? You're gonna tell everyone we were friends? You don't know what the fuck you're
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Hey, that one messy munchkin. I love her.
I'm gonna say this one is right on the cusp of what I'll allow for this bit. I was like, no, this one goes. This one's going. This one goes.
It is a gay ass bubble. It's like a bubble that you blow with bubble gum. Like,
yeah.
Big flaming lips energy. They had a goat playing a goat, bro.
Nice. You know, like the straightest guy in that theater was like, I gotta tell people that I fucking love this movie, but I want to be like, I want to be straight.
Exactly. I got it. I'm gonna throw the letterbox equivalent of a bro hug, where I'm slapping the other guy in the back. Anyway, those are the letterbox one-liners for yo, bro.
Peter Dinklage goes hard in this movie, bro.
Dude, I enjoy musicals, but I don't like them. You know what I mean? Like they entice me.
I'm just saying, he was in Game of Thrones, bro. Like he's hard as fuck, man.
Game of Thrones.
Bro, Jeff Goldblum's in this shit, bro.
Bro, I heard that the wizard was gonna be Mel Gibson. Oh, get out of here! Get out of here! Anyway.
Well, I mean, he was until he said who the enemy was. That they were,
Wizard of Oz, Matt Damon as the Wizard of Oz. Okay, that's enough of that. Letterbox one-liners for Wicked. Please follow the show at Movie Night Extra for our Movie Night Extravaganza HQ account, where we're posting. Sometimes we are anyway. All the shows that we're doing here, all the attendant content, bonus features, things along those lines. Follow us on there, and you can find out who indeed is the GOAT. GoFundMe, help me meet the wizard. Forrest Miller over there, your host. Always Flacco.
That's like the broke ass alphabet. She's like, go help me meet the wizard. He's gonna love me.
Only your $10 can help me defeat the Wizard of Oz.
It's like the kids that write the little. It's like the little Santa letters at Macy's, like to the wizard.
Dude, you're getting fucking emails, and it's like an animal that clearly is like getting tortured, and it's like, give us $5 now to help us fight the wizard.
$5, save the animals.
Or this animal,
the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
I'm writing on my cousin's account because his account got banned. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm too deep in.
We've gone too deep, people.
I've gone.
This is Nancy Pelosi. Please give us $5. Chip in right now, and you can help us defeat the wizard.
This is Nancy Pelosi. I've been ripped apart by rabid weasels right now, and only your $10 can stop this inhumane torture. Okay, sure.
This is Nancy Pelosi. Most of my colleagues can't speak anymore, and they're about to change my voice to not be able to speak either. Please, $5, help us defeat the wizard.
Oh man! Now that's a spin-off I would watch. Like the whoever's typing up these fundraising emails for to crowdfund against the wonderful Wizard of Oz. Yeah,
it's she's on her laptop.
I am, of course, at Conan Neutron, Dr. Goat. Please. I didn't go to 12 years of medical school to be Mr. Goat. Okay. You can find me on Letterboxd doing the Highbrow, the Midbrow, Populous Fair. Follow me along for the Criterion Challenge if you dare. Oh, that was very confrontational the way I said that. If you dare. Kristina, let us be glad. Let us be grape. What is it?
Grateful.
What is it? Grateful. Okay. Oh yeah. Like the line. Okay, that makes sense. All right. Yes. She's at Adam Kristina on Letterboxd, so follow her as she logs more and more movies, and you can see what she's up to for there. Julia is a new Letterboxd user, right? So
True.
you can maybe be the second follow. I think I'm the first. At Anxious Sprout. Have you done anything with it yet, or no?
Yeah, wait, no, I think I'm Squishy Lump on. I'm a long time lurker. I've ruined it all. I've ruined the whole thing. I'm a long time lurker, first time poster, and I didn't know how to do the little white blur.
Here's my reaction to that news. I was so surprised.
No, trust me, I'm up on those Letterboxd.
Was it Squishy Lump? Is that what you said?
I think Squishy Lump. Squishy Dumpling was taken.
All right. So we'll have to get it down when we do the show. Wait,
That's
what?
Fine.
Oh. So follow her as a brand new Letterboxd user. Please make her feel welcome. Forrest, let's hit it with the plugs.
If you're watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe, and then hit the bell to get notified whenever we're streaming. And we'd humbly request that you watch the video to the end, because it helps us with the algorithm and helps more film fans to discover the show. We're also monetized. If you want to get your chat questions definitely read on stream, you can always send us a super chat, which will help us keep the show going. Every cent helps. If you're watching on Twitch, you can gift us a free sub on Amazon Prime with your Prime membership, but getting subs on Twitch is always appreciated, and it helps to follow us on there as well. We also have an audio feed, which is available wherever you download podcasts if you prefer to listen to podcasts rather than watch the stream. That's updated usually the same day we stream, but watching on YouTube and Twitch is the best way to get the show first, live as it happens. If you want to support us with a monthly donation and get access to all of our after parties forever, which go patron only after we do them, you can become a patron at patreon.com/movie night extra. Link is in the description for that. It really helps us keep the show going since we do have some expenses to make this happen. We also have a Discord community. Link is in the description for that. We sometimes watch movies we cover on there. We get into conversations about everything from film to TV shows to related podcasts. We even have a Discord channel for memes. It's really fun on there. You can find us on all the social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, and Threads. You connect with us on all of those. Talk to us. We'd love to hear from you. Lastly, we recently made a TikTok at Movie Night Extra where we're putting up short form clips from the episodes. Okay, passing this to Conan so he can tell you about his music and this week's Protonic Reversal. Conan, who's on Protonic this week?
Yes. So the Mike Hard God Bullies episode is up in the general feed for everyone to enjoy. Coming up tomorrow, after tomorrow, which is also known as Thursday, you can hear all of the band Biggin on Protonic Reversal. I'm going to be talking to them. That's going to be great. And then patreon.com/Protonic Reversal, $1 a month advance access. I have Mike Baguette of MSSV, which is his band with Mike Watt of the Minutemen and Steve Hodges, who played with like Dylan and like Mavis Staples and David Lynch, actually. Not the Green Room. Jesus Christ, what movie are we talking about? The Pink Room from Twin Peaks Firewalk with me and all that. They have a tour coming up, so tune in for that. There's a couple more episodes. Marissa Paternoster, Adam McKay's favorite guitarist, coming on a week after that.
Friend of the show,
Adam McKay. Huge things coming. As everybody apparently is contractually obligated to say.
Yeah, things coming.
Big things coming. I usually just prefer to do the things and not talk about them. But in this case, a week from Thursday, so don't worry, it'll be after we do all our Oscar coverage. Pre-orders of the new record go out. And so Way of the Neutron is going to be available very, very soon. Don't worry, you'll hear plenty about that.
Neutron. Way of the Neutron.
This music does not appear in the album. And I got tours announced and stuff like that as well, but that's going to it'll have to be after like a week from Thursday. That's not my choice, but it's some pretty exciting stuff. So like I tune in to hear about all that to this show or whatever.
Wow, big things in fact are coming.
Big things are in fact coming. Yeah, it's funny that I made fun of that concept when I actually do have big things coming.
Yeah.
And then part 2 of me and Jason Miles doing the go through the music year show, the Pop Life thing, 1995, part 2 for 1995. We're going to be doing. It's coming up as well. So tune in for that. Actually, a lot of movie night extravaganza people on this last episode. So that was everyone was haunting the chats, Everyone was enjoying the show in the chats.
Insulting our audience.
You think this is an audience full of ghosts, bro?
Anyway, and also, let's also mention too that we're actually doing our yearly Oscars stream as well during the actual event that's coming up. So set your calendars, set your clock, mark your calendars, whatever. It's Kristina's turn. Let's go.
Yeah. So
if you have any calendars for us to mark.
Exactly, please.
So tomorrow I'm doing a debate royale with Enemy Charlie, streamer. Julia and I, we done a thing with Mason with her, the secret, Elon stream that we did like a month or ago. It's gonna be interesting. She's gonna give me more of the details. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I'm probably gonna be doing a little subathon. 3 days. We're gonna start with Shadow Saturday. Fucking Barnabas is back to being a vampire. It's just.
You sound like me trying to do my plugs. I don't even know what's happening.
I thought we got rid of Angelique, but then her more powerful brother just pops in and revives her, and I'm like, oh god damn it! I want my Barnabas to be happy. Okay, like. It's not fair. He gets bit by a weird CGI bat again. So
sounds like big things coming.
I Yeah, Rick Boom here with a ghost emoji. That's a good.
Oh,
that's a good.
I got a little ghost thingy back here. Too. It's evil though. It's like.
Come haunt our Patreon, please. We know.
Yeah.
It's like a big empty house. This bank account. So.
I'm looking forward to this debate. I'm wondering who the hell I'm going to be debating with all these other people. It's going to be interesting.
What are you doing? Wait, who are you debating for? And for what reason? What's this?
It's going to be like a big political debate with a bunch of other people. It's going to be like left, right, center. It's going to be interesting.
For what?
For
like Royal Rumble? Like what's happening? Like what is this organized?
Wait, who, what, when, where, why, yes, and like what?
So it's like Battle Royale, except for with debating.
Enemy Charlie is doing the it's her idea, so she's gathering a bunch of people to duke it out, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There you go.
Okay.
The ethics of gangbang.
Oh,
right.
Royal Rumble politics is kind of how Charlie made it sound. Yeah, Royal Rumble. Let's get ready to rumble politically.
Well, all right, so I wasn't that far off. Okay, I'm not even a wrestling fan. I got that reference. So.
Yeah, so that should be
Cool.
interesting.
Right. Well, that's
I've done very
tune in for whatever that is. So
and I think we're gonna do a.
When is that? That's
11 p.m. Eastern tomorrow.
Okay, word.
I never debate anything after 9 p.m.
Well. No, you masturbate stuff after 9 p.m.
Whoa, hey,
whoa, wait.
Hey, I like how seamlessly Julia has just fit into this.
It's like dynamic.
She's part of the family now.
Yeah, it's fine.
Which I think we're gonna be doing an after party after this, hanging out, after partying. You know, BYOB. Bring your own broads.
bring
Fargo, what the hell did I come back to?
I thought it was bring your own bricks, as in yellow bricks, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
oh,
yeah,
wait.
Sounds right.
Julia,
What the hell did I come back to? Friend, I've been trying to figure that out.
I was trying to think of a wicked related to B, and then I couldn't, so I just said broads.
So anyway, what you did miss is we found out that her it's green. It's green. I know we were all wondering it. That's what we decided.
The Alphaba, does the carpet match? Does the carpet match your face, Alphaba?
and of course, yeah.
And the answer is.
Hold on, here we go.
Yes.
Okay.
After this show, only once per episode.
Yeah, but so join us for that after party.
Yeah.
And
Julia's probably maybe our guest has some plugs too. Did you ever think about that?
Yeah,
huh?
I'm literally about to say, Julia, do you have any plugs? And everyone jumped all over me like you're like Kristina's gangbang tomorrow.
I'm not that girl. It's fine. No, I have plugs. I make my silly little contents. I actually did a video, a letterbox video, and then I am an idiot and saw that you guys do it too, and I got so excited. But I do my little.
We've done it for a few years.
But you guys have done it for a few years, and I thought I was onto something, and then I realized
so did I
wasn't.
Yeah. You thought you were onto something, and then Slim came on, and you're like, check out this bit, and then
I was like, this is gonna eat, and then I was like, wait, it's already been chewed and cooked, boiled, chewed, all of it. Anyway,
no, I think there's so much content on Letterboxd. I think it's a frenzy for everyone.
Specifically, like horny posting Letterboxd one-liners is probably
that's. I mean, I specifically actually, unless they're really hilarious, those are the ones I studiously avoid.
Stop! I just really wanted you guys to feel bad for me. You know, I appreciate it. I do musical theater content online, and it's fun. So you know,
we should get her on with. I think you said. We should have her on with Lauren, our friend Lauren, who's a regular on the show. That'd be a good match.
She does musical theater productions.
Yeah. She's in what is it, SpongeBob? It's the music.
Yeah, she recently did SpongeBob.
Checks notes, SpongeBob SquarePants?
Ethan Slater?
Yo, it's crazy to go from being in SpongeBob SquarePants the musical to like married to Ariana Grande or dating Ariana Grande. Like,
it's a true success story by anybody's metric.
It's the toxic tenor. Every musical theater straight knew it was coming. They were like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Yo, this one's gonna go wild.
Save for the after party. It's only gonna get wilder.
Yeah. But yeah. Julia, do you have final thoughts on Wicked, and then
stop trying to produce.
I think I'm psyched for part 2. And even Slater, seeing more SpongeBob out of him in his role as Bob.
He's gonna come in the SpongeBob tie and like being and be like, ah!
I'm looking to see more SpongeBob out of him.
But Conan, final thought.
Okay, that was it, huh? Look, I'm a noted musical skeptic. Did I enjoy Wicked? Yeah. I mean, did it change my life? No, not really. But I thought it was good, and I think that for theater kids and musical fans, it's pretty much essential, which everyone already knows. But for the rest of us, it's pretty good. It's very long. Be prepared for a very long movie, but that is almost all movies these days, much to my eternal chagrin. But fun conversation.
So I wonder if the second part's got to be longer, right? Like you can't have a first part that's longer than the second part.
That'll be tough.
Only
tough
imagine.
to do.
Okay, whatever.
We got everyone be prepared and be holding space for the longer Wicked part 2.
Be holding space in my bladder. I will make sure not to drink anything, so I don't have to go pee.
Kristina,
thank you, my bladder.
Since this is your episode and it's
right.
your show, we're giving you the best spot, and we're gonna even do.
Whoa! I can't do it because I don't have the thing. That's right.
Yeah. So, Wicked is obviously a top 5 musical for me. I've loved it ever since I first heard Defying Gravity on Sirius Broadway with Seth Rudetsky way back in the day. It was only a matter of time when I kept thinking, when is it going to be a movie? When is it going to be a movie? And then, after over 15 years, it's finally happened. And it was everything I had hoped for. Expanding the storyline, not cutting much. Direction, fine. The acting and performances is what stand out the most out of everything. Even the set designs are fantastic. I'm really looking forward to part 2 because we're going to be seeing the darker side of Oz, and it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to expand on the fascism of it all, because I mean it's creeping, and I have a feeling that next year they're going to the Wicked press tour is not going to end, is what I'm saying. It's still going. It's
crazy to do it like last year is the first one, and then this year is like the second one.
So I highly recommend, if you're a musical theater nerd, or if you're a parent who's like, I want to take my kids to see Wicked, but theater tickets be expensive, just watch the first part of Wicked and then wait for part 2. You'll love it.
Oh yeah, everybody I think in the audience when I saw it in theaters was loving it, and like a lot of them did not look like musical people.
Yeah, I think there are definitely people that were just like,
what? They didn't look annoying. Okay, we get it.
No,
okay.
A lot of them looked like parents.
Wow.
A bunch of kids, like a brood of kids, to go see something, and they were like hoping for like 2 hours and 45 minutes of silence. Like, you can tell it.
It's like when I saw Titanic for the 25th anniversary, and there's so many straight dudes in there like mouthing the lines, and I'm like, they're not just here to see Kate Winslet's tits, they're here to see like the full movie, and I was impressed.
It's men's rights activists, and they're all like, let him on the door. But we're gonna head on over in like 10 minutes to the after party and be after partying away. Bring your own